first time, it is Shedeur Sanders.
I'm thankful for the supporters, thankful for the fans, thankful for everybody out there. I'm just thankful that I'm out here. You know, I'm thankful for the opportunity, thankful for seeing all them 12 jerseys. It was a great feeling.
From the moment that Shedeur Sanders dropped to the 5th round and got drafted by the Cleveland Browns, I knew one day this season I was gonna have to make this video. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it finally happened. After months of discussions within the NFL community, the NFL media, and definitely here on this channel about everything that has gone on with Shedeur Sanders since the draft, we finally saw his NFL debut on Sunday. And it's safe to say that it taught us everything we need to know. Cleveland matched up against the Baltimore Ravens on Sunday afternoon, and once Shedeur Sanders was put in the game, everything about the Cleveland Browns offense changed. And whether it was good change or bad change is certainly up for debate.
I don't think I played good. I don't think I played good at all.
However, I'm going to be going over this performance from Shedeur in this video and what this means for the Browns' future so that you can decide that for yourself. And I'm not only going to be breaking that down in this video, I'm also going to be analyzing his upcoming matchup against the Las Vegas Raiders, because Shedeur Sanders is officially going to be the starter for the Cleveland Browns this week. So before we get to the content, we've been doing this on the baseball channel, Uni Diamond Talk. We've been doing this on the basketball channel, The Flight Mike. It's only fair that I do this for you guys as well. I'm going to be giving away a jersey of your choice to a subscriber that turns on their notifications on this channel. I'm going to be choosing one winner a week. All you have to do is comment what jersey you want in the comment section down below, and usually I pick one of the first few that comment because it means you have my notifications on. And just one more quick announcement. So I know the new year is right around the corner and people are focused on losing weight, but the number one issue I've always encountered when it's come to trying to dropping pounds is every time I see a nutritious recipe I want to make, it's just so tedious to go to the grocery store, pick out all the ingredients, and prepare the dish. And as a result, I resort to ordering out. And that really screws me as I try to work towards my health goals, which is why I absolutely love HelloFresh. HelloFresh will send you all of the ingredients to create high quality, healthy, high protein meal preps at home, each with instructions on how to execute the recipe. And they currently have 2 times the amount of healthy options than they used to, and 15 plus high protein recipes every single week. HelloFresh doubled their menu size with over 100 plus recipes each week, and I personally love it. Now I'm ordering out less, I'm eating more nutritious meals, it's way easier to track my calories, and I'm also learning how to cook way better. And right now you can get up to 10 free meals on your first box at HelloFresh.com with code MikerophoneFM. Free meals are applied as a discount on first box, new subscribers only, varies by plan, but that's up to 10 free HelloFresh meals and free shipping. Just go to HelloFresh.com with the code MikeroPhoneFM, or you can visit my link in the description box down below. And thank you, HelloFresh, for sponsoring today's video. Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? Shedeur Sanders finally made his long-awaited NFL debut on Sunday, and it answered so many questions. In the first half of Cleveland's game against Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens, Cleveland actually had control of this game, going into the break with a 16-10 lead on the back of 3 Myles Garrett sacks and 68 passing yards on 70% completion from Dillon Gabriel. However, coming out of the half, Gabriel ended up in concussion protocol, and after a stagnant opening second half drive from the Ravens, Shedeur Sanders trotted onto the field to a huge ovation, and honestly I think it was the loudest that Huntington Bank Field has been all season long. After 2 months of watching Dillon Gabriel play the least threatening football possible, Browns fans finally got what they wanted, and the excitement in the stadium was evident. Unfortunately for them, what happened once Shedeur got his shot was rough to say the least. After completing his first ever pass attempt on this play action bootleg to Cedric Tillman for a solid 4 yards, Shedeur would finish this game by completing only 25% of his passes at a 4 for 16 clip for 47 yards, while throwing a pick and taking 2 sacks on top of that for a whopping passer rating of 13.5. Not only that, but he failed to lead the Browns to any points in the second half and ultimately choked away the 6-point lead that they had built in the first half, losing 23-16 after 13 unanswered points from Lamar and the Ravens to close out the game, which in 30 minutes of game time really isn't much, and just makes this look even worse for Shedeur, because they were within arm's reach the entire time. Shedeur played some really really bad football in this game. And it's not just the stat sheet saying it, the film says it too, maybe more so even. I'm going to show you a few plays from Shedeur Sanders' debut that sum up exactly how he performed, starting with literally his third ever play as an NFL quarterback. Here, Cleveland is in a 3rd and 8 situation with the ball at their own 27-yard line. In this situation, every yard is crucial because even if you don't get the first down, a few yards on your 3rd down play would put your punter in a better position to give the other team the worst field position possible on the ensuing drive. And what Baltimore is lined up in here pre-snap should actually help Shedeur Sanders accomplish that. Baltimore lines up with 7 guys on the line of scrimmage, ready to scream at Shedeur, which in turn should give him a quick, easy decision considering the fact that he has 3 receivers on his left with only 2 defensive backs playing them. Sure, Baltimore has 2 defensive backs up top in Nate Wiggins and rookie Malachi Starks, but Wiggins is literally on the opposite side of the field, where the only receiving options for Cleveland are David Njoku and potentially running back Jerome Ford, and Starks is playing free safety, preventing anything over the top. Now, there is a good chance that Baltimore stunts this because defensive coordinator Zach Orr loves to have a bunch of guys line up like blitzers and then drop back into pass coverage. But in that case, Shedeur would have more time in the pocket to read that and make a play as opposed to having unaccounted for pressure in his face. Well, once the ball is snapped, we see a couple of things. First, we see the type of pressure that Baltimore was bringing. Instead of rushing the 7 guys that they were stunting, they only rushed 5, with both Alohi Gilman and Roquan Smith sprinting back into coverage, leaving the rest of the blitzers in one-on-one matchups with the Browns offensive line. That still won't last long though, because the Browns offensive line had no clue what their blocking assignments would be pre-snap, so they just have to survive instead of actually giving Shedeur a clean pocket. Luckily for Shedeur though, the play that his offensive coordinator Tommy Rees called was actually pretty good. From the left side, we have 2 crossing routes from both the inmost receiver and the wide out, creating levels in the middle of the field. We have Jerry Jeudy in the middle of those 2 running an out route to create space. And then most importantly, we have David Njoku running a shallow crosser from the tight end spot, which actually ends up wide open after Roquan Smith overcommits to his coverage and left the sticks unaccounted for. With the pressure that's coming, Shedeur needs to go through his reads quickly and find Njoku here, because not only is this a gain that would put the punter in a better position like I mentioned before, but this very well could be a first down. Instead, even though it looks like Shedeur sees Njoku, he opts not to pass this ball with a wild Kyle Hamilton running him down, and instead chooses to take a sack. For absolutely no reason. This type of play is exactly what we saw from Shedeur Sanders at Colorado over the last 2 years that made him a concern at the next level. And only 3 plays into his NFL career, he's already showing signs of no improvement there. It makes me question what he's been working on at practice over the last few months. And on top of that, Kyle Hamilton did Shedeur Sanders' watch celebration after the play, just adding insult to injury, which is not a great start for him. On the very next drive, Shedeur and the Browns are in almost the exact same situation as they were on the last play I showed you, but this one is even more crucial. With the ball at their own 17 instead of their own 27, Baltimore is also lined up very similarly, with 7 guys at the line of scrimmage yet again, showing heavy pressure and forcing Shedeur to make a quick decision. However, Cleveland is lined up much differently here, coming out in more of a tight formation this time, making it easier to attack the sidelines for a quick throw, and keep somebody back to block if they have to. Once the ball is snapped, we get a very similar result as to what the Ravens defense does. They bring 5 yet again and drop 2 guys back into coverage. Roquan Smith again, and this time instead of a defensive back in Alohi Gilman, they drop back rookie linebacker Teddy Buchanan to create more speed in the backfield, looking to get to Shedeur as quickly as possible. After the last drive, Shedeur knows that, remembering how that play ended, and he looks to get a quick throw out. The thing is though, he does it completely wrong. He yet again had David Njoku on a route short of the sticks, but instead he takes an extra second or 2, stares down Jerry Jeudy out wide, hoping to find him on an out route past the sticks, but that option took too long. Shedeur gets blown up in the backfield, but it wasn't for a sack. I'm sure he would have preferred that. He ends up getting the ball out right as he gets hit, and with no receiver within a few yards of the ball, he throws an uncontested pick to Nate Wiggins, giving the Ravens unbelievable field position after a costly turnover that could have easily been prevented had he gone through his reads and found Njoku Njoku instead of staring down Jerry Jeudy, just praying that he can make a play. Now, I'm not going to talk about this next play a lot, I just wanted to show you guys it, but it's one that you have to see, because even though it may not go down as anything negative on the stat sheet, it very much should have. This play is the exact next play after the Nate Wiggins interception, and Shedeur was in prime position to redeem himself. Cleveland calls a play action boot here out of a single back formation, and while he's rolling out to his right, Kyle Hamilton is chasing him down like a madman because of how quickly he reads this play. But once he realizes what's going on, he hesitates to cover David Njoku, who's trailing behind, and looks to be who the play is drawn up for. Shedeur sees this, hesitates because he knows that it could be a turnover, and then still decides to throw it to Njoku anyway. Of course, Hamilton was there, and he's lucky that Hamilton dropped this ball, because this would have been back-to-back picks on back-to-back plays to give Baltimore elite field position on back-to-back drives. It was just some rough decision making from Shedeur over here. The last play is arguably the worst one he had all day, and it is the epitome of Colorado's Shedeur Sanders. On yet another third and medium, Shedeur has the opportunity to finally make up for the last few third downs and actually convert against a Ravens blitz that you know is coming. Baltimore sends 5 on this play with Kyle Van Noy sitting back as a spy, leaving 5 guys back deep to cover the entire field. Funny enough though, that ended up being enough, and Cleveland's receivers more or less got strapped on this play. With pressure looming, Shedeur should have thrown the ball away here instead of trying to play Superman and make a play like he did back in college. But the inexperienced quarterback is always going to play through their instincts, which is exactly what Shedeur does. Instead of throwing the ball away or throwing the ball deep to a one-on-one matchup, he decides to hold on to the ball, spinning away from a rushing Draymond Jones before eventually being brought down by backup cornerback Keon Martin for a loss of almost 20 yards. That is absolutely absurd and should never happen. Shedeur Sanders continuously made boneheaded plays in this game, and it resulted in one of the worst halves of football I've seen all year. Now, there have been people online giving him the benefit of the doubt, saying that he underperformed in this game because he didn't play any snaps with the first team offense. And while yes, that is important, it's not like he was named the starter before this game and didn't get those snaps. He came in as the backup. Every backup quarterback in the league is in the same position that Shedeur was in coming into this game, and none of them get first team reps, because why would they? Dillon Gabriel was expected to start, and he did start, so of course he's going to be the one getting those first team reps. And now that Dillon Gabriel hasn't been cleared for next week, Shedeur Sanders is going to get one more chance against the Las Vegas Raiders. So Cleveland is now preparing Shedeur for his first ever NFL start next Sunday against the Las Vegas Raiders, and honestly, the stakes couldn't be higher. This is either going to be Shedeur's redemption story where he proves all the doubters wrong and shows why he should have been a first round pick, or this is going to be the beginning of the end for his career before it even really starts. There's no in between here, and what makes this situation even more fascinating is the absolute circus that has surrounded Shedeur since the day he was drafted, and truthfully, even before that. It's really crazy when you put it all into perspective. Shedeur was projected by analysts to go as high as the number 2 overall pick in the 2025 draft. Teams like the New York Giants at pick 3, the Pittsburgh Steelers at pick 21, and the New Orleans Saints all had opportunities to take him. Instead, Shedeur fell all the way to the 5th round, where the Cleveland Browns traded up to select him with the 144th overall pick, making him the 6th quarterback taken in the draft. To put that into perspective, if Sanders had gone 21st overall to the Steelers like many expected, he would have made around $13.3 million more than what he's making now as a 5th rounder. That's generational wealth that he missed out on because 31 teams passed on him, and now he's got to prove that every single one of them made a mistake. And not like this guy.
There were 9 mistakes made ahead of me, and I will make sure over the next decade or so that they will know that they made a mistake.
According to NFL insider Albert Breer, Sanders handled the pre-draft process like he was a top 5 lock, declining to meet with several teams and reportedly telling one team in a combine interview that maybe I'm not a fit for you when they pressed him on concerns. ESPN analyst Damian Woody said the NFL basically sent Sanders a message saying, "You're not that guy." And when you combine his on-field concerns with all the celebrity and media attention that follows him because of his father, teams didn't want to deal with having a celebrity backup quarterback. And you know what? After Sunday's performance, you can't really blame them for being hesitant. But here's where things get interesting, and this is what's going to make Sunday's game must-watch television. Kevin Stefanski confirmed that Sunday was literally the first time Shedeur Sanders took any reps with the first-team offense. Think about that for a second. Right guard Wyatt Teller told reporters after the game that he had only heard Shedeur's cadence 2 or 3 times before protecting him against the Ravens. Ravens. The offensive line barely knew what he sounded like. They didn't know his snap count. They hadn't practiced with him in any meaningful way. I understand the Baltimore Ravens have one of the crappier defenses in the NFL, but even if so, if you don't get meaningful reps in together and someone's taking snaps with the first team for the first time, obviously he's going to be placed at a disadvantage. With Dillon Gabriel still in concussion protocol heading into this week, Shedeur is going to get something he didn't have against Baltimore, a full week of practice with the starting offense. He's going to take every first team rep. The offensive line is going to learn his cadence. The receivers are going to build chemistry with him. Tommy Rees can game plan specifically around Shedeur's strengths instead of Dillon Gabriel's. This is what he should have had all along, but the Browns quarterback situation has been such a mess this season that they've basically been operating in survival mode since week 1. It's kind of sad because his dad, Shedeur Sanders, was reportedly in tears when he found out Shedeur was going into the game against Baltimore. Coach Prime was reportedly running a coaching clinic on Sunday, and his son Dion Jr. called him screaming to let him know that Shedeur was going in, and Dion said he was crying, telling him, "Man, I'm crying right now. Leave me alone, leave me alone." This is how much this meant to the Sanders family. After all the speculation, all the drama, all the criticism about whether Dion pushed Shedeur too hard or whether Shedeur was only successful because of his last name, this was the moment they'd been waiting for, and it went as poorly as it possibly could have. But here's where the story gets really compelling. History is actually full of examples of great quarterbacks having absolutely terrible debuts and going on to Hall of Fame careers. Terry Bradshaw went first overall in 1970 and posted a 30.4 passer rating as a rookie with 24 interceptions. He went on to win 4 Super Bowls and become a Hall of Famer. Troy Aikman went 0 for 11 in his starts as a rookie in 1989 with a 55.7 passer rating, completing just 52.9% of his passes with 9 touchdowns and 18 interceptions. He won 3 Super Bowls and made the Hall of Fame. Peyton Manning threw 28 interceptions as a rookie and went 3-13. He's arguably the greatest regular season quarterback of all time. Alex Smith went 1 for 11 with 0 touchdowns and 11 interceptions in his first 7 starts, posting a 40.8 passer rating, and he went on to have a really solid NFL career and make multiple Pro Bowls. The point is, one bad game doesn't define a career, but what does matter is what happens next. And for Shedeur Sanders, what happens next is a trip to Las Vegas to face a Raiders team that's just as desperate as the Browns are. The Raiders are 2-7 on the season, meaning they're one of the worst teams in the NFL right now alongside Cleveland. Their defense ranks 14th against opposing quarterbacks in fantasy points allowed, which is roughly league average, but don't let that fool you. The Raiders defense can get after the quarterback. Max Crosby has 5 sacks this season, and he leads the team with 14 quarterback pressures and is tied for second in the entire NFL with 10 tackles for a loss, tied with none other than Myles Garrett. Crosby is one of the best defensive players in the entire league, and since 2019, his 324 pressures are 40 more than the next closest player, Nick Bosa. This is a guy who lives in the backfield, and Shedeur's biggest weakness coming out of Colorado was his inability to handle pressure. Remember, Shedeur led the nation in sacks taken last season at Colorado. His pocket presence has always been questioned. He holds on to the ball too long. He doesn't throw it away when he should, and now he's going to be facing a pass rusher who's built his entire career on terrorizing quarterbacks who can't handle pressure. If the Browns offensive line doesn't give Shedeur time, and let's be real, they haven't given anyone time this season, this could get ugly in a hurry. But there's another layer to this story that makes it even more interesting. Kenny Pickett was traded from the Browns to the Raiders before the season, and he's now sitting on the Vegas sideline watching all of this unfold. Pickett was in the Browns quarterback room during training camp. He competed with Shedeur for reps. He knows the playbook. He knows Tommy Rees' system. And now he's going to be watching from across the field as Shedeur gets the opportunity that arguably should have been given to multiple quarterbacks before him. There's got to be a part of Pickett that's thinking, I could have been that guy in Cleveland. And now he's watching a 5th round pick get a chance to start while he's stuck as a backup in Vegas, which is a very underrated storyline to all of this. But here's the thing that makes this game critical for Shedeur. If he plays well and he leads the Browns to a win, if he shows improvement from what we saw in Baltimore, then he might actually have a chance to keep this job even when Dillon Gabriel gets cleared from concussion protocol. Kevin Stefanski has said that Gabriel will be the starter when he's healthy, but Stefanski also knows that Gabriel has been terrible this year. Gabriel has thrown 7 touchdowns to 6 interceptions with an average of just 165 passing yards per game. The Browns have scored more than 20 points just once in Gabriel's 6 starts. If Shedeur comes out and throws for 200 plus yards, 2 touchdowns, and leads the Browns to a victory, how do you not at least consider keeping him as the starter? Kevin Stefanski is coaching for his job at this point. The Browns are a disaster. If Shedeur gives him a chance to believe, he might just roll with the hot hand. But if Shedeur plays poorly again, if he struggles with pressure again, if he can't lead the offense to any points again, then we might be looking at his last start for a while. The Browns could bring Gabriel back and never look back. Shedeur could be relegated to clipboard duty for the rest of the season. And worst case scenario, this could be the beginning of the end for him in Cleveland. The Browns have 2 first-round picks in the 2026 draft, and the quarterback class is supposed to be much stronger than this year's class. If Shedeur doesn't show them something, and I mean really show them something, they could be drafting his replacement in just a few months. This is genuinely a make or break moment for Shedeur Sanders' NFL career, and it's all happening in just his second game. He's 23 years old, and he's already facing a moment that could define the rest of his professional life. The pressure is immense. The expectations are somehow both sky high and rock bottom at the same time, and he's doing it all with the entire football world watching, waiting to see if the son of primetime can live up to even a fraction of his father's legacy. After the Baltimore game, Shedeur took full responsibility.
I don't think I played good. I don't think I played good at all.
Myles Garrett defended him, saying he wanted to pin it on himself and his performance, but we're not going to allow him to do that. The locker room believes in him. His teammates have his back. Now he just needs to go out and prove that the belief is warranted. The stage is set. The Raiders defense is waiting. Max Crosby is licking his chops, and Shedeur Sanders has 7 days to prepare for the most important game of his young career. Will he silence the doubters and prove that his draft fall was a massive mistake, or will he confirm what 31 NFL teams already believed? That he's just not ready for this level, that he doesn't deserve to be an NFL quarterback? We're about to find out, and honestly, I can't wait to see how this plays out. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comment section down below. What do you think is going to happen with Shedeur Sanders this week? Aside from that, I'm your boy Mike, and I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.